Hello everybody, I am John, the stay-at-home dad gamer. Deciding to do something a little different today. A little review of a Transformer. I am a big fan of Transformers. I watch a lot of the shows and definitely like collecting the little plastic robots. As you may know if you've heard any of the podcasts where they joke about, Mech Suit DLC and how I love robots. I do. I like me some plastic robots. I like Transformers. So I figured I would review some, because why not? Be fun. So first one I decided to do here is Transformers Prime Vehicon, mostly because it is the first one that I reviewed writtenly, even though I only, or written wise, I guess, not writtenly. Is writtenly a word? Don't tell my wife I said writtenly. Anyway, but first one I did a written review of. I've only done like a few written reviews, but I did the Prime Vehicon because I really like him. So spoiler alert, I decided to start with him. You can see him in his car mode, which I think's pretty neat. Kind of looks like the Batmobile to me, but it's a nice little small, sleek black car. It still looks menacing from the front. If that focuses, looks pretty cool. And he does come with his gun, which you can either plug into the side, which even though it looks a little odd, I actually prefer that on the side, even though it sticks out. The other way you can do it is to clip it onto the front, which I liked more in the beginning, but after a while I just kind of realized that I think that looks even sillier. But it's cool that there's a different way to do it. I always appreciate stuff like that. And you could plug it into the side, but you see the bottom of it, so probably wouldn't look as nice. And what I'm going to do here is transform him. Get that out of the way. I'm not necessarily going to show step by step all the things to do, unless that is something that people really, really want to see, just because I love figuring out how to transform them without instructions and whatnot. I realize not everyone's going to like that or has fun with doing that or whatever, but I'm just going to kind of run through the transformations and point out just parts I really like or trouble spots I will definitely highlight. And the first thing I wanted to highlight is this. I love the way they did this. So you fold this whole thing down, the whole top of the car, and fold his feet up. But look, these just fold up, and then pow, that's his leg. And that is amazing. That is some of the best engineering I've seen in a Transformer. I love it. Because there's very little kibble. And really, nobody likes kibble. Nobody likes that little extra stuff hanging off. You don't want a shell former. They've had some good ones. And yes, it's almost certain that you will get some kibble hanging off. But, I love that those fold up. And yeah, you can kind of see it from the side, but you're not looking in between his legs, Even from the back, it looks fine. Just stellar. But that said, he still does have some kibble. He does have this thing on the back, but that's really not that bad. And he's got these plates, which for all intents and purposes aren't bad. They kind of bulk him out a little bit. Pretty cool. I like it. I like his silhouette. He looks like the show, has his little face. Does have light piping. It's going to be really hard to see because it's this tiny little slit, but you can kind of see that there. He does have that. And then he can hold his gun, which I do like. That's a nice little handheld pistol. So he can hold up the Autobots, be like, hey, what are you doing here? And then, Wheel to Access, like, nothing. I'm just going to destroy the Decepticons. And he's like, oh, okay, well, go about your way then. He's like, oh, okay, thanks. Walks off. Anyway, enough of me being silly. You can also attach it onto his arm, which is kind of cool, but with the big panel, it kind of ruins the illusion. But in the show, their arm turns into the gun. So I think it's kind of cool that they can do that and kind of get that sense of there. But actually, my preferred method, and this is admittedly a bit silly, but I like to attach it to their shoulder here. Because I think that looks really cool. It looks like kind of gives me that Sentry feel. Where he's just got a shoulder cannon, so his hands are free. He can do Vehicon things like cook and clean or whatever else they have to do, get blown up every week. But I think he looks kind of cool with it on his shoulder. And I also pretend that he could fold it down. So if he's just patrolling and he doesn't need the gun out, it's tucked away. He doesn't have to hold it. So you can, you know, shake hands or play poker with the other Vehicons before they get destroyed. But then it's like, oh, trouble's arising, and then, you know, it flips over, and you can, dude's ready to fight. He's ready to shoot people with his shoulder cannon. Anyway, that said, we'll go through his posability really quick. Like I said, I think he's really cool looking, so we'll just move on to posability. He's got ball jointed shoulders. You might be able to see there. The cut's that way, so it's for transformation, but you know, you can have him stick his arms out like he's a bird. And then he has a bicep swivel, and he's got this really weird elbow joint, which, you know, when you look at it head on, it looks really odd arm wise, but you know, for an alien robot, it's not that bad, and it's pretty functional. I mean, he's also got a ball joint just under it, so it's because of transformation really that it's like that. But so, I mean, you can make him look really awkward if you want, like he's got broken arms, but it actually affords him a pretty decent range of movement. You know, like he's singing or whatever. And he just, for the wrist, it just goes up and down because of transformation. So the wrist isn't great, and you know, he's got the panel here, but it still look pretty nice. And no waist swivel. It is pretty small. They probably could have put one in there, but I'm okay with it. You know, I would honestly prefer they have one rather than not, but I could see that it's thin and probably add the cost, and they already didn't want to, they barely wanted to release this guy anyway, considering how hard he was to find for a while. Oh, and I skipped his head. He does have a ball joint. You know, you can get him to look sideways. You look down a fair amount, but not really up that far. So you can kind of, you know, be sad that he got beat up. He has ball jointed hips with knee bend. Knee bend is not that great. Probably about 80 degrees. Or no, not 40. Like 37, 40 degrees or something. I'm just kind of saying that. I don't know. No, 90. No, wait. Yeah, no, 90. So it'd be 80 degrees. 45 is... Anyway. Shut up. I don't remember geometry. But no real ankle articulation or foot, because, I mean, you can bend it, so you can do stuff with it. But it's still pretty limited. His legs are much more limited than his arms. But, you know, he can still get some pretty cool poses. Wasn't supposed to look like like Booker T, but kind of ended up doing that. But, you know, he can get some pretty cool poses going on. Let's give him his gun there. But I actually really like him. I'd say the biggest problem is he was hard to find. Like, if you could get one, he's really good, and I highly recommend him. Especially if you collect Prime, you should track one down, although you probably already have. If not, I think he's a really, really fun Transformer. The robot mode looks really good. It's fairly posable. You know, he's got the modular weaponry in some ways. Like, you can put it multiple places. I kind of wish he came with two, so I could put one on the shoulder and have him hold one. Or that the weapon, I wish it was a little bit more symmetrical looking. It's kind of just odd. It's somewhat shaped like the Japanese one, which was a Minicon, which transformed, so I understood why that one was big and kind of misshapen. And kind of wish we had that, but that's because I'm a fan of weapon transforming Minicons. Anyway, I would recommend trying to track one down. I think he's really good. Vehicle mode looks cool. Kind of looks like a Batmobile, like I said, sleek one. Doesn't have the best clearance. Forgot to show that earlier. When rolling, it's got pretty good, but the problem is his like little hip, they're not skirts, but like his hip flaps here kind of scrape along the ground, so it's not the best toy to play with as a car, but transforming him I think is really fun, and I think he looks really cool. Even though mine is a little dusty here, I tend to leave him out, really. I don't display him. He's kind of on my nightstand or in my room, so I can kind of pick up and play with him every once in a while, transform him into the car. I kind of alternate because I just think he's very fun. If you can find one, I would recommend getting one because I think he's nice. I know I've said that like 6 times. I apologize. Oh, one more thing I wanted to say with his gun. You could also store it here, down here, which I think's kind of neat looking, almost like RoboCop. You know, you can and like it'll flip up and he can pick up his gun or whatever, you know, make it kind of like a little holster. It's probably just me being silly, but Anyway, there he is. Transformers Prime Vehicon.